Hello. In this clip from our Justia webinar, Essential Habits for Law Firm Associates in the Post-Pandemic Landscape, Lana Manganello and Benjamin Schweffel will give you an overview of why habits are important in legal skills development. Remember, if you want to see more Justia videos on law practice and legal marketing, be sure to subscribe to our channel.
We're very excited to be here. I think this is a very pertinent topic. I think Ben would agree with me that we're in a time of extreme and rapid change. And I think for associates, it really means that being as intentional and proactive as possible is really going to be a requirement for the attorneys that are going to be successful moving forward. As Nina said a little bit about me, I work with attorneys on business development and marketing. And I really do that because I have recognized that those skills create an opportunity to build a practice that someone can really buy into as far as the type of work that they are working on being really of interest to them and the people that they work with. And having that ability to control your work leads to career satisfaction in a way that I don't see other, a lack of those things. And then also, it produces the best lawyers I've found, the ones that really enjoy their work and are excited about, the control that they have over their careers. Ben, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Ben Schweffel. I'm currently a partner. I just made partner this last year. And so I literally was an associate right when COVID hit. I started about 4 days at this firm before we were flattening the curve in early March 2020. So totally agree. Very pertinent topic. I know we're excited to kind of dive into the presentation and hopefully give you some helpful tips and tricks along the way.
Great. So let's share the slide. Here we go. So let's get right into what we will be discussing today. The intent for this is to really equip you with some tools and strategies needed for building the habits that will lead to the skills that will help you find enjoyment and success in your practice. So we'll be exploring the principles of persuasion and how to develop relationships, also delving into the intricacies of networking, and then also looking at how a strong reputation attracts the type of work that you're most interested in. All right, so let's get started by really understanding the role of habit formation in legal skill development. So as legal professionals, you're all aware of the range of skills essential for practice. So those are things like persuasive communication, sharp analytical thinking, comprehensive research abilities, problem-solving prowess, commitment to ethics. And then there's some of these more people skills of building relationships, building trust. These are all integral to your work, but it's no secret that these skills are not acquired overnight. Most of them are not ones that you learn in law school. So we've found that the key to honing and refining them lies in something profound, which is habit formation. So let's talk about habit. So there's extensive evidence showing that consistent practice is key to skill development. There was a study in 1993 that showed that consistent practice was the primary factor differentiating expert performers, whether those were athletes or people using knowledge-based work. So skills, especially interpersonal skills, require consistent practice to refine and perfect. And habits create a mechanism for that kind of consistency. So when you develop a habit of practicing a skill, it ensures that you're regularly applying and improving that skill, improving on that skill. And in the context of relationship building, a habit could be regularly connecting with new contacts on LinkedIn, setting aside time to schedule networking meetings on, the first Friday of every month, or even simply things like consistently remembering to ask about a client's personal interest during a meeting, and then keeping notes and remembering to go over your notes before you meet with that person the next time. The next component of habits that's so powerful is this marginal gains or continuous small improvements. There's a British cycling coach, Sir David Brailsford, who supported this concept with research in performance psychology. And skill development is usually not a matter of a big single breakthrough, but a result of continuous small improvements over time. So something that you could apply to your own work is every morning spending 15 minutes focused on reading about your practice area or something that you're interested in. While it feels like a small thing, over the course of a year, you'll have really developed a deep understanding of that knowledge and have an understanding of how to apply that. And Ben, feel free to interrupt me as we're going through this.
Sure. I'll just piggyback on an example right there. Like that 15 minutes, there's practical examples of that in practice that we use every single day. When you're an associate, oftentimes it's expected that you're available for a partner when they need you to. Well, find out when the partners are going to be there. Find out when they reach out to you the most, right? Like I realize that I'm traditionally more like an 8:30 office arriver, and the partners were like 9:30. And so I knew that I had this hour window in the morning where I could, one, build in time for me to do me things. I use the term pay myself first, and that's where I would do it. I would do it from 8 to 8:30, and then I'd get caught up on things. So by the time they arrived and stuff started flying at me in my day, I was already ahead. I'd already read the article, exchanged some like messages with people on LinkedIn, whatever it was. Just scroll, look through influencers and things on LinkedIn that I want to take in that intel. And I had 30 minutes to do it. And I knew every morning that's where it was. And I planned the day out the night before. So I protected that time, and I didn't just scoot my hours to absorb that entire, 30-minute window. So there's little things that you can do by paying attention to the way that your workplace works that you can make sure you're prioritizing that little bit of 15-minute increment day after day.
Awesome. And I think, if you had to figure out when to squeeze that 30 minutes in throughout the day, chances are it would not have become a habit and something that you would, often find that you did not get a chance to get around to it. So I love that. Efficiency and making things automatic is another piece. There's a lot of work that goes into kind of the cognitive demands of figuring out what you need to be doing. So creating these behaviors around things that are specific to the skills that you're trying to develop create some momentum. So a key study in 2010 found that new behaviors become more automatic with repeated practice or up until around 10 weeks. So figuring out how to, do something like Ben was suggesting and giving yourself about 10 weeks to make sure it's a habit will alleviate some of the mental load of figuring out what should I be, what is the best thing for me to be doing right now. And so Ben made a conscious effort towards a specific goal of wanting to make sure he gets things done, whether that's because he's got personal things or certain skills he's looking to develop. Once he's kind of created that, he no longer has to think about it, and it starts to build its own momentum. And that's something that specifically when I'm working with attorneys is figuring out how do we, once we've identified what you're trying to make happen, what are the activities that we need to do to build those skills or build those relationships, and how do we set that in motion so you don't have to think about it all the time? Because that's going to most likely increase your opportunities for success.
Yeah,
Yes, please.
I was going to just add in real fast, while you're in that zone of trying to make it a habit, when you're trying to get into the positive swing of things, I found by automatically blocking out on my calendar, telling my assistant, I'm going to do this, ask me how that went. Or I have a mentor in the firm, various things where people would ask me, have you been doing that? Because I know it's the first thing, especially when it was new, it was the first thing I'd give away because I came into a pile of emails, an urgent task, something was always going on, and it was easiest to get rid of the thing that was for me. And so by putting that on my calendar and making it look official, it reminded me, and it was just that intentional little bit that allows you to hold space for that. And then pretty soon it becomes automatic. And maybe that time frame is different for everybody, but I still hold it on my calendar just because that helps me handle my day the best. So
great. And that accountability piece cannot be overemphasized. Sadly, we care more about, the way other people perceive it sometimes than actually making sure we get our goals met. So I second that. Find people in your office that you can share your goals and what you are, what your tactics are. And then the likelihood of your actually getting it done goes up dramatically. And then this habit goal interface is a similar concept of, once you've identified the goal and have started to create that habit, like I lived in Pasadena and worked in West LA and wanted to be healthy, and also had the added encouragement of getting on the road before 6 a.m. meant that my 20-minute commute stayed at 20 minutes versus going to 90 minutes. And so even when I moved and no longer had that commute pressure of why I wanted to work out in the morning, it was a habit that I maintained. So I was able to stick to my goal without thinking about, how do I fit this in? Because I had already done the work of aligning my goals with my behavior.
yeah, then I'll just add a quick thing on that. Try to make sure that you don't get out of the swing. And there's like, you take that vacation or a trial comes up or you have a big deal, whatever it is, it's easy to like, oh, I can't do that this week. But then you got to get back. You got to get back on it the next week, because all that work that you did to make it the habit, sometimes it's easy to fall out of it pretty quick. And you're like, I really missed last year. Entering billing is another one for me. That's one. If you have the habit at the end of the day doing it, great. At the end of the week or end of the month, you're in great shape. If you don't, it's a rough time. So it's easy to fall out of that from that 1 week vacation you took. So get back on the horse.
Great. And I think that kind of dovetails nicely into this habit loop of understanding how you can create these habits. So the cue would be, the trigger. Routine is what you're actually doing. And then you'll need a reward to actually get moving with creating these things as a habit. So Charles Duhigg did research on this at MIT. And this simple loop is really what governs so much of our behavior. More of the research says about 50% of what we actually do every day is based on our habits. So this is important in understanding in all aspects of your life, but recognizing the cues and triggers of our routines, we can consciously establish the beneficial habit and disrupt the unproductive ones. Like one that's maybe not so great is you're feeling stressed or anxious, and that trigger has you going into the snack room to grab, a Snickers bar or a treat. And so the reward is you're, temporarily comforted by your Snickers bar, and kind of building this unhealthy eating habit that's part of feeling stressed or anxious. Another one is, a partner assigns you a task that feels tedious, and that's the trigger, and the routine is you're delaying the task and doing things that you perceive as more enjoyable or easier, and the reward is you're kind of immediately relieved from the stress or boredom of the task, but you are now creating this habit loop of procrastination. Have you ever heard of any of these things, Ben?
Yeah, I live them out far too regularly, I have to admit.
So the reward piece is important. So like when you're thinking about billing, maybe not letting yourself watch, your binge-worthy TV until you get your billing done, or having that glass of wine at the end of the night, but figuring out what is and maybe it should be a more healthy reward, but whatever it is that you're looking forward to, kind of associating it with a habit that's going to help you achieve your goals.
Yeah. I was gonna say I wrap my wife into that, because she knows that if I don't have it, then while she's watching that TV, I'm gonna go to our office and work on billing rather than us hanging out together. So I also have her in that loop of like, remind me that I really like just hanging out and not doing billing some night at the end of the month when that happens, because I don't like doing that. So
it feels better when you're watching TV or doing whatever you're doing and not having the pressure of like, I know I should have done this or should be doing this instead of that.
Exactly.
So really, the reason I'm talking about habits is because this is truly the bedrock of developing the skills that you need. Not only the legal skills, but also the personal and interpersonal skills that are going to help you throughout your career. So one of the things that we're going to talk about moving forward is how you're able to create opportunities for yourself within your organization and then ultimately in the marketplace. So a lot of these things when we're talking to associates, they're internally focused. So you're thinking about how to build relationships within your organization so that you have the buy-in from the people, because law is unique that it's pretty much an apprenticeship model as to how you're going to be learning a lot of the skills that you need to be an incredible lawyer. And so it requires buy-in from the people that you work alongside with. And so early on, spending time thinking about these things as far as building relationships, being visible, building a positive reputation so that you get more of the work that you want and more opportunities to hone your skills. It can't be emphasized, and then will really nicely kind of set the foundation as you then are thinking about building out a practice that includes people that are not currently in the firm and building a book of business and starting to originate work.
And all of those things can take time. And so the earlier you start these loops and start these things, whether it's internal or external, the better.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more law practice and legal marketing videos. See you in our next clip.